All right, let's talk about one of the biggest money questions you'll ever face. So, you've got some extra cash sitting in your account. That's a great problem to have, right? Well, what you do with it next, that single choice could literally be worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars over your lifetime.
So that's the dilemma. Do you invest it or do you pay off debt? Now here's the crazy part. Most people just go with their gut on this one, but making a decision this big based on a feeling is kind of like using a magic 8-ball to plan your retirement. It's a massive gamble.
And seriously, I'm not exaggerating here. This one decision, investing that extra cash or throwing it at your loans, could genuinely be the difference between building real, lasting wealth or spending your golden years working because you had to. The stakes, they are incredibly high. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the core conflict. Then we'll walk through a real-world example that has an absolutely shocking outcome. After that, we'll talk about good debt versus bad debt. Look at the human element beyond the numbers, and then wrap it all up with a clear action plan for you.
Okay, so at its heart, this whole debate really just boils down to one simple but really powerful trade-off. It's a battle between something that is 100% certain and something that could be absolutely spectacular. You know, think about it like this. When you pay off a credit card that's charging you, say, 22% interest, you've essentially just made a guaranteed, risk-free 22% return on your money. I mean, good luck finding that anywhere in the stock market, right? But on the flip side, investing offers the potential for amazing returns. The market has historically averaged around 10% a year, but it comes with risk. There are zero guarantees. So the real question is, do you take the safe, predictable win, or do you play for the bigger but totally uncertain prize?
To make this less theoretical, let's look at some real numbers. This example is going to show you just how massive the financial consequences of this decision can be over the long haul. So here's the setup. Imagine you have a $350,000 mortgage with a 4% interest rate over 30 years. And somehow you've managed to scrape together an extra $1,000 every single month. We're going to look at two very different paths you could take over the next 30 years.
First up, we've got the attack the debt approach. You take that extra $1,000 a month and you just hammer your mortgage principal with it. As soon as that house is paid off, you take your original $1,000 plus what used to be your mortgage payment and you invest all of it for whatever time is left. If you do this, you'd be totally mortgage-free in about 14.5 years. So then, after the full 30 years are up, when you account for your investments and all the interest you saved, your total net worth would be about $1.1 million. Not bad, right? Not bad at all. But now, let's look at strategy number 2. Here, you just make the minimum payments on that 4% mortgage for the full 30 years. You take that extra $1,000 a month and you invest it, starting from day one, letting that beautiful compound interest work its magic for the entire time. So what's the result? Well, after those same 30 years, even after you paid all that mortgage interest, your total wealth would be about $1.9 million.
Yeah. That's an $800,000 difference. Just let that sink in for a second. It's the same person with the same income and the same amount of extra cash, but they end up with nearly $1 million more simply because they chose to invest instead of aggressively paying down that low-interest mortgage.
So, case closed, right? Always invest? Well, not so fast. The math worked out so beautifully in that example because a 4% mortgage is what we'd call good debt. This entire conversation changes completely when we start looking at other kinds of loans.
Really, it all comes down to one thing: the interest rate on your debt. That is the single most important number in this entire equation.
So let's run through this. Credit card debt with interest rates that can be over 20% is a 5-alarm fire. It's financial highway robbery. There's no investment that can safely and consistently beat a 20% interest rate, so paying that off has to be your number one priority. Car loans. They're tricky because you're paying interest on something that's losing value every single day. Student loans are this weird middle ground with kind of moderate rates. And then you have mortgages with their low, often tax-deductible interest. That's the type of debt where it frequently makes mathematical sense to invest your extra cash instead.
But listen, this isn't just a math problem on a spreadsheet. It's also a psychology problem. It's a risk management problem. It's a life planning problem, all rolled into one. The choice that is mathematically perfect isn't always the right choice for you. You've got to consider your own situation. I mean, if you're 25, you have decades for the market to recover if it crashes. But if you're 55, that guaranteed return from paying off debt starts to look a whole lot more attractive. And honestly, some people just hate debt. They can't stand it. They sleep better at night knowing they owe nothing to anyone. And that peace of mind has a real value that you just can't plug into a calculator. Okay, so we've covered the math and we've covered the psychology. What should you actually do? Let's put together a clear, prioritized action plan.
Before you do anything else, you need 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. That's your foundation. Do not pass go until that's done. Next, if your job offers a 401k match, you contribute enough to get every single penny of it. It's free money. After that, you go to war with high-interest debt. A good rule of thumb is anything over, say, 8%. And only after those first 3 steps are totally complete do you finally get to make the big choice: pay down your low-interest debt or invest that money instead.
And that really brings us right to the final question. You now have the framework to understand the numbers behind that $800,000 decision. But knowing the math, well, that's only half the battle. The real work is figuring out how that math fits into your life, your goals, and your own comfort level with risk. So what's your move going to be?